Hello, this is India. I'm back today with a powerful message. So, today's message is the cost of having a pure heart. See, people with pure hearts, we tend to wear it on our sleeves, and that always makes us an easy target because people with not great intentions towards us are going to pick up on that pretty easily. We tend to always be placed in a category where we're either soft, we're weak, we're naive, because they just don't know how to handle it. Some people have never come across someone like that. Or some people just feel, is it real? Like, is this person really that weak, that soft, that naive? And in fact, it's not about being weak, soft, or naive. It's about having a pure heart. And that confuses some people because that's not within them. God didn't place that in everybody. So, from a really young age, like, I never really fit in. I always kind of had to have, I always had like a smaller group of friends, or for a period of time, I would hang out with my guy friends more, or I would just do my own thing. And I was always looked at and casted apart for being different. I looked different. I carried myself different. I dressed different. I did things my way. Like, I did not follow everyone else. I kind of went on my own road and did things my way because I did things from a heart space. Instead of just going along with everyone else, I would be more in tune with my heart and do things from a heart space, right? A pure heart space rather than a place of logic. And that would get me talked about a lot, judged, criticized by many. And, you know, it got to a point when I got older, life just kept trying to break me down more and more and more and more. Till it got to the point where it was hard. Life kept coming at me left and right, left and right, left and right. I was not catching a break. And I got to a place where I kind of felt like, you know what, it would just be easier for me to dim my light and try to fit in because I was standing out way too much being myself, my true self, my authentic self. And being so young, like, I didn't see things how I see them now. So it was just easier for me to fit in than to stand out. And many times, like, I would stop myself from saying things how I really felt, standing in my authenticity, because I was worried about what other people thought. I was worried about how it would make other people feel, not realizing that that was just causing me to keep dimming my own light. And I would do this so much that it was like people pleasing was just second nature to me. It was natural to just make everyone else around me so happy and leave myself for last. And this is a routine that I picked up at such a young age because of my childhood, that it was just natural for me to be a people pleaser. I always came last. I always came last. It's like, I remember even for Christmas, I would go ahead and Like, just, I never really cared what I received. My joy came from watching others open their gifts. And every single year, that was something that would make me feel so good about myself because it was never about what I was receiving. It's about what I was able to give others. That right there shows how good my heart is because another person would be more focused on what it is that they're going to get instead of what it is that they could give. And if I had something and somebody else needed it, I would give it to them without even thinking. Like it would just be so natural for me to just do that. Like I always wanted to have be the reason why another person smiles. Like that brought me happiness. It made me feel content. It was so easy for me to always give my all to anyone with an open heart. And then I would tend, like, I would even enter into relationships like that, walking in like fully trusting, heart fully open. And then throughout the relationship, I would have to start to close my heart off to them. And that would actually hurt me. That would really, really hurt me because that's not in my nature. And I would always end up hurt in these relationships because I would go in with all this love and stuff, and sometimes they didn't know how to handle it. They didn't know how to take it. So, what would they do? They would sit there and do whatever they can to kind of knock me off my feet. And I would always end up hurt. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. And having a pure heart, though, I have to say, it saved me. It honestly saved me. There was one of my past relationships. It was really physical. He used to beat me like all the time. And I remember this one time he pulled out a gun on me. And I remember that day, like, I wasn't even, I was always familiar with God. I would always pray, but not how I should, not like I do now. I didn't surrender my life to Him. But I remember that day praying, God, if this is my destiny, then please make sure my child is taken care of. And I just went for it. And I actually fought him for the gun. And I ended up taking that gun away. And what's crazy is if I would have had an ugly heart, my story would have been completely different because I would have done something stupid out of anger, right? Not thinking. But because I have a pure heart, you know what I did that day? I went and I got that man help. That's what I did. That's just, I think back and it amazes me. It amazes me because for so long, dimming my light and living under a shadow, I wasn't being authentic. But I've always had a really good heart. And there was a period of time too, like around that time, I had just been through so much toxic stuff. And he was like, I was filled with anger and bitterness because of all the things I had experienced. I mean, who wouldn't? Like it was trying to break me so bad that I would never let it knock me completely down. But damn, like sometimes it would hurt, you know? And instead of me expressing that because I know I could be too much when I would speak my truth, because I'm trying to protect others, I would hold all this in. And oh my God, that just filled me with bitterness. It brought me to a place where I was just unhappy because I didn't know how to get all of that out. And definitely the stuff I've been through is not for the weak. not for the weak. But deep down in my inside, like deep down in my heart, regardless of what I faced, my heart always remained pure. It always remained pure. I remember there was a period of time, quite a few times to be honest with you, where I had to put a shield around my heart just to protect it because people will always take my kindness for weakness. And it was so easy for them to hurt me. And then I would have to sit here with all this. And at that time, I didn't know how to heal. I didn't know how to recover from all the damage that has been done. So, how do I get past that? I carry more anger. I turn it into bitterness. I'm harder on myself. I fall into depression. That's what ended up happening, right? And one of my biggest flaws was always seeing the good in everybody. Like somebody could show me who they are, and I would be like, man, no, because my heart, like, I wanted to see the best. I would always see the best in people, but that's not who they were. And that would cause me a lot of pain, honestly, because to them, I would come off as naive. But in reality, I just wanted to just be my authentic self and come from a place of peace, light, and love. And all that would get me was it just made me an easy target to be used, abused, and manipulated. And many times I didn't want to accept that people were really that way. It was so hard for me to do that. It was sad to see that I really didn't have genuine people by my side. For many years, I would look at other people and I would always be like, they're better than me, they're higher than me, they're above me in every way, no matter what education I had, no matter what job I had, what car, where I lived, no matter none of that. Because I was so broken internally that I would always place everybody above me because I was just too scared to go ahead and take that deep look within. I didn't want to stand in my authenticity. It was scary to me because I would have to deal with all the things that I've been through, all that trauma, all that neglect, all that self judgment, low self esteem, lack of confidence. So, what happened? I ended up going through one of the toughest situations ever. And because of that situation, God knows I had to surrender. I could not take one more minute of what I was dealing with. So God took me out of that situation and He put me in isolation. And it caused me to have to sit there, take a hard look at myself. And boy, that was not easy. That was hard. So many tears were shed, so many things that had broken me. So many times I had been hurt. And so many triggers, things I didn't deserve that I had to face. But one thing all that never had the power to do was change my pure heart. I never lost my strength, even at my weakest. I never gave in. I never gave in. No one in my life has ever had the power to knock me down. Knock me down. You know what? I'm not going to lie. There's times, situations that had happened. I might have tripped. I might have stumbled. But keep me down? Never. I always remained 10 toes down. If that night I fell asleep crying, you better believe that the next morning I am waking up 10 toes down. Nothing was going to stop me. Nothing was going to stop me. And because of that rareness, that uniqueness, it caused a lot of people to be jealous of me because they couldn't understand how is it that I was doing that? How is it that they would knock me down in the night and by morning I'm on my feet again? They would do things to me, all types of things. I will get into details, but not in this video. So that's where God opened my eyes to who it is that I really am. That's when God had to show me who was who in my life. Oh my God. And if I tell you, I've been hurt and betrayed by people my whole life. But guess what? Because they never had the power to change my heart, guess what? God has chosen me. Because everything that was meant to destroy me, it only bruised me. But it never had the power to change my heart. And that's who God has always known I was. That's who God has always called me to be. But He was waiting for me to be ready. And okay, so those who are spiritual and the people that believe in God, he doesn't pay much attention to, he pays attention to what it is that you're doing, but that's not his main focus. His main focus isn't on your actions. He sees it, but it's not his main focus. It's not on your words. His main focus is on your heart. If your heart is pure, after all of the challenges, the tests, the trials, and tribulations that this life has thrown your way, if your heart is still pure after all of that, then you got to get ready. Because guess what? God is preparing a table for you in the presence of your enemies. God knows. He sees all. He knows all. Remember, He knows who had evil intentions towards you. They're going to face their karma. That's a given. But as long as you remained and you kept that pure heart and you do all things from a heart space, God got you. He got you. He knows we're not perfect. We're imperfect. We're humans. We're going to sin. And that He could forgive. How many in the Bible sinned and He still chose them? That could be forgiven. Sin could be forgiven. You repent, you pray on it, you can be forgiven. He could work with that. But having a pure heart is a requirement. It's not negotiable. That is a requirement. And it's not speaking, and saying, oh, I have a pure heart. No, it's actually having it. Remember, He knows us consciously, subconsciously, inside and out. So you saying it and doing it are two different things. That's why it says you got to do all things from a heart space. And out of all things, love is the most powerful. And you're going to get to a place where you're going to have to forgive those who hurt you. It's not easy. It's not easy. But you got to get to that point, and you will get to it. And for you to stay in alignment with God, it has to be done. There's no way around it. Forgiveness is also a must. But one thing that you should understand and just know about forgiveness is forgiveness does not mean reconciliation, right? Forgiveness means you're letting go. You're forgiving them for the action that they took against you that hurt you. You're not forgiving how it affected your life. That's going to take time, right? As they say, time heals all wounds, right? So that is different. But forgiveness, you have to forgive the people that hurt you. But it doesn't mean reconciliation. That doesn't mean you gotta go back to somebody who hurt you. That doesn't mean you gotta talk to that family member that backstabbed you. That doesn't mean that you gotta be friends again with that person that talked bad on your name. No, that doesn't mean that. What that means is you have to forgive. You have to release what it is that they did to you and move forward. Let karma deal with them. Let God handle them. That's not your job. That's not your place. The only thing you got to worry about is forgiveness, right? And just understand it's a choice. If you choose to reconcile with the person that hurt you, that's your choice. All I could say is choose wisely. Just because a person says that they've changed doesn't necessarily mean they've changed, right? Just got to be mindful when it comes to that. But forgiveness is a must. So I'm going to leave you with this. If you have a pure heart, please do all you can to remain that way. Don't let the enemy throw so much your way that it tries to block you from your pure heart. Because the enemy will throw anything your way to try to block you from getting to the good that God has in store for you. God has a beautiful plan for you, but he can't give it to you if you're holding on to old hurt. You got to let it go, forgive it, release it, and stay in that pure heart space. And always know you can allow people in. Just use your discernment and have boundaries in place. And above all, don't let this cruel world dim your light any longer. Be you authentically, shine bright. It's your birthright. And that's how God intended for us to be, is shining bright, standing in our truth, speaking our truth, being genuine and authentic to ourselves, and most importantly, being obedient to the Most High. So just remember, God got us. God got you. God got me. He got us all. Stay blessed. This is it for now. Have a good day, guys.